With so much content out there, how do you filter through all the noise and cut straight to the value? What has become very apparent is that the best way to learn is to surround yourself with those you aspire to be. But you can't just watch what they do. At some point you have to turn it into an action. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. On this podcast, you will go on a journey as we speak to people who are making the difference in their industries, and people who, if you listen to closely and take action, can turn you into who you want to be. My name is Mark Sclair, and this is the Building a Successful Career podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Building a Successful Career. We have an amazing guest on the show today, someone that I'm very privileged to be able to have on here. I came across him just over a year ago now when I attended the Les Brown event. If you've been following my podcast, you know that I talk about Les Brown continuously and constantly. But this person came into my life just over a year ago, close to a year ago now, with his wife. And they got up on stage and they had such presence, such energy. And it was something that I really found inspiring because I want to be on stage. I want to be in front of people. So I sat there and I just listened and absorbed everything. So I don't think me talking about him will give it justice. So I want to introduce him and let him explain who he is and what he does. So on the show today is Kane. Hi, Kane.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Yeah, if you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Well, the short of it is I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started along with my wife because we work together. So I should probably include everything together. We started 40 different companies. We've done about 500 million plus in revenue in our companies. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm 42 now. I started my first business at 19, and I had a lot of great coaches and mentors and advisors. In my late 20s, after starting about 30 of them at that point, I had kind of sold out of everything, and I started teaching entrepreneurship way before it was so cool and niche, and like it was like the cool thing to do. Everybody seems to do it now, but we were doing it at a time when everybody thought we were crazy, and we had little rooms of 50 and 60 people who wanted to launch and grow their businesses, and we scaled our training and mentoring and investing company to be a global company. We now have had 3 million people come through it in 80 different countries. And we run massive stadium events, sometimes with Tony Robbins or Richard Branson. We have 5, 10, 20,000 people there with us. And it's just been just amazing. Really, really never even thought it would get so big. But ultimately, just to summarize all that, what we actually do is we invest in businesses. So we kind of use all that to find great entrepreneurs and great ideas. And that's what we do these days.
Amazing. I mean, just those names by themselves. And what's great is like you've partnered with these people as well. Like they've called upon you with your expertise and your experience. So that's what's amazing as well. I want to go into this a little bit now. I'm going to ask a couple of questions and I want to kind of give a little bit of story behind it, because when I saw Kane and Alessia on stage and I actually invested in one of their courses, I had an idea and I wanted to do sales training for people, but it was such a wishy-washy and no real direction. I knew I could sell, I knew I had the ability, but it was kind of, I didn't know what A to Z of it was. And when I started with Kane and Alessia, what they said to me and really stuck with me and really gave me the value was a structure, a method, and a process. And that's really what I focused on this year, is developing my principles in what it takes to build a successful career. Now, at the event that we did last month, which Kane came back to Dubai for, he had someone stand up and his name was Ali. And Ali was talking about how he's lost a bit of focus with the media advertising company that he has. He thinks he's getting saturated. And Kane started to ask him some questions. And then out of nowhere, you just saw this aha thing with Ali. And what Kane said was, he said, look, you've got this experience in advertising. You don't need to go to companies to sell your advertising abilities. You need to go to individuals and tell them how to do what you do. And I think this is where people struggle so much. Like they've been so conditioned into have to work for a company, have to build this. And I do agree, not everyone is an entrepreneur, but you can take a skill like I've done in the corporate world and help other people to be successful in those corporate worlds. But it comes with a method, a process, a structure and principles. So I really want to get your insight into that, Kane, and kind of give the audience some advice on that, please.
Sure. Well, that is very true. So, you know, they say that everybody should be an entrepreneur, but, you know, we have a slightly different belief at our company, although that's certainly common. And I would agree. Some people, after I get to know them, I go, you know what, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I do think anybody can be. I think it just, and everything's teachable. So, you know, the question is, why would someone want to be an entrepreneur? And I think at the end of the day, people want to be an entrepreneur because they want to control their destiny. They want to control their future. They want to be able to control their income. They want to control their time. They want to control their experience of life. And, you know, I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I came from a family of corporate people. I had, you know, my parents were both corporate workers, and I went to school in a traditional environment where I learned everything about, you know, getting a job, and it just wasn't going to be my path. I actually was a lover of music, and I want to be a musician. And I just thought, you know, if I'm going to be a musician, there's no real jobs as a musician. You don't get a job as a musician. You make your own way. I mean, nobody hires you to be Phil Collins or hires you to be Madonna or Prince. You know, you craft your own way. So because of my choice of that world, I started thinking entrepreneurially very, very early on. But I also realized there was nobody around helping entrepreneurs. In fact, mostly just skeptics. You can't do this. You can't do that. That's not going to work. That'll never make sense. How are you going to make that happen? And that's all you ever run into is just a bunch of people giving you negative thoughts and feedback. And everybody's scared of what it means and they don't know what it means. And your parents are terrified you're going to end up on the street. And that's kind of what I grew up in. You know, today you can find so much great training and materials around online. You know, we have that now, but we didn't have that, you know, 42 years ago as I was growing up. And so I launched my first business out of music school with a friend of mine. And I skipped a bunch of stuff in there, but I'll save you the long story. And I launched my first business and I didn't know what I was doing. We started basically a media company. And we learned pretty quickly that when you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't matter how driven you are. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to be creating the results. We used to joke around that if you motivate a bunch of idiots, what you get is motivated idiots. You don't suddenly get, you know, genius or brilliance. So it turned out that I was actually doing a lot of personal development work at the time with some big seminar companies. And I met a gentleman who was an executive coach. And he happened to be a coach and he happened to be a business owner, that he owned a media company and then left, you know, sold that media company and moved on from that industry and became a coach. And I asked him if he would coach us. And he said, well, you know, what do you got? And I said, well, we've got a media company. He says, well, how big is it? How many customers? And I said, none. He says, sounds like a great company. So just, I think for pity, he came over to our offices and, you know, we were 20 years old, 19, 20 years old at that time. And I guess out of pity, he said, I'll help you out. Let's see what we can do here. But he says, I know you can't pay me. He says, here's what I want you to do. He says, I want you to go get some jobs at night, whatever you can. So I went off and I got a piano playing job at a bar and I was playing piano at night because I was a musician. And we paid him, I think, $2,000 or $3,000 a month, just whatever we could scrape together. And he took 15% equity in our business. So we had a little bit of skin in the game with money because, you know, he said, I don't want to do it for free because you guys probably won't pay attention and you won't take this seriously, but I'll do it for cheap and I'll take an equity percentage in your business. Well, he was so amazing. And so was actually his mother, who turned out to be one of the top executive coaches in Silicon Valley, where we started this thing in California. And the two of them coached us to essentially create the top 5 media company in the world in about 4+ years. And so we became one of the biggest media production companies in the world for what we were doing, which is we were working on soundtracks for video games, television, and film. And we started dominating certain video game sectors. We were doing close to 1,000 projects a year within 4 years. And that was literally like, you know, our next competitor down was doing like, you know, 100 or 200 a year. So we were a massive, massive group. I had 212 employees, at studios in 6 countries. You know, we owned studios in China, studios in Canada, studios in Europe. It was just massive and it grew so fast. And, you know, we were driven and we were motivated and we were talented, but nothing out of the ordinary, just, you know, just hustling it. And I really realized what a difference it made when you have somebody that just really knows what to do and in what order to do it in and helps guide you through it. So we actually went on after that. I stepped out of that full time after several years and I started building a whole bunch of other companies and a whole bunch of other sectors. And by the time I was 29 years old, I had 32 different companies. I ended up selling them all, retiring, and didn't know what to do. So I started teaching entrepreneurship. And I just became passionate and obsessed with helping systematize entrepreneurship systems and recipes and techniques for entrepreneurs to help them understand how to launch, grow, and scale their businesses. So that's what we did. And that's what we started. So I mean, to bring it back to your point, that was a bit of the story, but to bring it back to your point, there has to be a system. There has to be someone that understands how to guide you through that system. And then there's one other thing that you need, which you need a community of people around you. You need to have a good network around you. And those three things put together is what we focus on at our company, is helping entrepreneurs get the systems, have guidance through those systems, and then have a great community of people that can help them with the resources.
Amazing. Yeah, because I think people, they overcomplicate it so much. I think we need to reinvent the wheel, or we need to do this, but I always said there's a blueprint that's been laid out before us, a roadmap. Like, I'm on that journey at the moment. I know that with the way I am, my values, the way I present, that's unique. But these principles of building a career, it's been done for many, many years. So I know that there's a success map that I can follow. And it's by having mentors and business people like yourselves in that world, in that community, that's going to push you to get you there as well. So yeah, thank you for that.
And you know, that's, you know, what you just said actually is actually really key. You know, having someone that can challenge you. This was something that I always grew up on. And I think something that my parents really instilled. I mean, my parents were not entrepreneurs, so they didn't really know. And even to this day, you know, my wife that I work with, who is also a brilliant entrepreneur in her own right, she's actually from Europe. She's Italian. And we couldn't have come from different worlds. You know, she didn't even speak English when I met her. I didn't speak Italian. But yet, as entrepreneurs, she was very successful. By the time she was 30, she had 7 companies, had done hundreds of millions a year on her businesses. And you could just, you know, Tony Robbins says this quote, that success leaves clues. And it's funny because there's a new app right now called Clubhouse, where all these entrepreneurs are getting on and talking about their business. And I was saying to my wife, because I've had more time to be on it than she has recently, and I was saying, everybody's saying the same stuff. We're all saying the same stuff because, to some degree, you know, uber successful people all kind of get it at the same level. There is a blueprint. But one thing that I think that many people don't see that is one of those things that really makes a difference is that we all got ourselves around people that challenged us. And this is something that my parents were really big on. I heard it many times as an offhanded comment by uber successful people, is you should be the dumbest person in the room. You should be the dumbest person at your business. You should be around people that are pushing you, that are challenging you. You should be hiring mentors that are, you know, engaging you. You don't want people that just tell you how great you are, both at your companies. You don't want friends that just tell you how great you are. You want people that are kicking your butt around, helping you see how you can think differently, go higher, do more with your time and your energy and your resources. So what you just said is really important, which is getting around communities of people that challenge you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the best things which you offer within your program is, you know, the coaching, but it's the accountability. That's what people need, because they might have come from this corporate world and all of a sudden they're not entrepreneur and they've got to do it by themselves. But if they have this accountability session with people in their community, along with the coaches, it's going to push them along. And it isn't failing. It's that, you know, you need to deliver something each week. It's that plan that you're putting together with somebody that has the experience and the success to know how to get there.
Well, we always say that the worst person in the world is to be accountable to yourself. I mean, you know, it's very tough. And even, you know, I'm very highly driven, and I've had many years of, you know, structure myself. But, you know, even highly driven people, we let ourselves slide. You know, it's like, oh, should I spend more time with my kids or my wife tonight, or push out another, I don't know, video or presentation, or, you know, push for another meeting. I mean, we always go, well, we'll spend it with our kids or our family. So it's always important that everyone, especially high achievers, have structures. I think there's this idea that you make it to a point where you're at the top. You don't ever really want to be at the top. You want to be somewhere in the middle, always having super cool people. It's like you never arrive as an entrepreneur. You're always on a journey. And so we like to surround ourselves with people that are constantly challenging us, opening up new ideas. I mean, no matter how much you learn, you'll never know everything. It will never happen. So you can always keep expanding. I mean, right now, in fact, as soon as I jump off with you here, we're going to be giving a presentation to several hundred entrepreneurs on creating product lines for their businesses. They're going to be service businesses, and we're going to help them expand their thinking into how to use physical products to expand their revenues in their businesses. And that's going to really change their thinking. And of course, we've worked with mentors this year on the physical product industries because it's grown 47% in 2020, the online e-commerce industry. And that was a newer area for us to keep expanding how we could look at it and launching physical products for our companies. And so now we're going to be sharing with them what we did and what our experts at our company have done to launch over $1 billion in sales in physical products globally. But it's constantly continuing to expand the way you think is so important.
Yeah, so I know that time is of the essence for you now, but there's something I think people struggle with a lot, and they don't want to pull their wallets out to invest, or they think it's a massive cost. So when someone is trying to get visibility and they're trying to kind of hold back the money or, balance the books or whatever, what is the way that they can get this visibility without having to put up so much money to do that?
Well, actually today, and actually we talk about this quite a bit, because this is one of the key challenges for business owners is getting visibility and having little budgets. The good news is that today it's never been easier. Obviously social media has made it incredibly easy, and really what it comes down to now is talent, which is great, because it used to come down to money. So if you had big budgets, you could get in front by buying billboards or buying television space or ads on radio, but you don't need that anymore. Now you just need creativity. And it's put the power back into the hands of the entrepreneurs, which is why entrepreneurship has exploded over the last 10 years since social media came out, because it actually empowered individuals to be able to go out and build brands on stories and build brands on connection and creativity and innovation. It didn't just come down to who had the bigger budgets. Certainly even today, if you throw money at something, yeah, you can get more visibility. And even today, it still works, but it's not the only way today. If we took, $1 million and we pumped it out, I know there's friends of ours that are spending almost 8 figures a month on podcasts to advertise in different people's podcasts. And sure, they get visibility and it's going. But then we have lots of students of ours and lots of colleagues of ours that spend nothing. They're just creative. They're innovative. They use the social media channels. They understand how to use the databases and marketing funnels and partner up with people and leverage other people's databases and brands. And they start with nothing. They have zero money. And they build, multi-million or even, hundreds of millions or even billion-dollar brands. So many great stories coming out now. People that, are launching products or tech or services and building 100 million plus or billion-dollar brands in just 3 to 5 years. Many of which are young people, which makes us all angry.
But I guess
we haven't hit the billion-dollar mark yet. But
there's so many different ways they can go. So if you had to focus on one, if you had to write, there's only one you can focus on to get that visibility, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, podcast, which one would you say to go for?
Well, it's a great question. And I'll answer by saying, so there's a new social media app that not everybody will have heard about yet. It's called Clubhouse. Everybody will have heard of it. I think it's going to be one of the biggest social media apps of our generation. I think it's going to be actually bigger than Facebook. And I won't go into too much about what it is, but you'll see. And even if it doesn't hit bigger than Facebook, it's going to be massive. But here's what it brought out. Essentially is it's essentially an audio app where people are launching little conferences and inviting people into rooms and having discussions and moderating panel discussions. That's kind of the very, very simplistic version. But what it really brought out is that there are people on this app that if you go look at their Instagram, you look at their Facebook, they have very little followings, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people. And on this app, they're already garnering 10, 20, 50, 100, 200,000 people following them. And what it made really clear to everybody in the world is that you have a different talent or personality for these different social media platforms. And each social media platform is around and has a space because it's different. Like TikTok, for example, which we don't get or like or engage in at all, which probably because we don't understand it. It's very entertainment oriented, for example. People love to get on there. They get 1 minute. They're super, it's creative. It's entertainment. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the platform. Obviously, it's a very successful platform. I'm just saying that for what we do, we've loved YouTube and we've loved Facebook for what we've done. But yet, if we look at how fast we're growing on Clubhouse, it's actually even better for us. And why is because it utilizes the modality of what we're really talented in. Some people are very visual. Some people are not. Some people are very intellectual. Some people are great speakers. Some people are very shy. They need to shoot videos and edit them over and over again. It's totally fine. It makes no difference. All you do is you have to pick the platform that you think is able to accentuate your talents and then stick with it, be consistent, and build your audience on that platform. The cool thing is, almost everybody's across every platform. You're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on LinkedIn. You're everywhere, right? Yeah. So basically, it's just you're going to pay attention to the people that have used the platform to be really dynamic, and not every platform serves every personality. So what I'd say is, look, yes, everybody's on every platform, and yes, you can repost across, but you're probably going to find 1 or 2 platforms really hit your personality well, and that's going to be the one where you're going to shine. And if you don't shine, people are not going to pay attention. And when you do shine, they are going to pay attention. So you got to find the one that really feels like it matches who you are and helps you shine.
Nice. All right, one last question before you go. And I really appreciate your time and you being on here. What should I have asked that I haven't asked to have this opportunity to speak to you?
That's a good question. You should have asked, how much do I love my wife?
I know you love her very much. Do you want to tell everyone?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because, you know, I get the opportunity to work with her because she's brilliant. And you know, though I'm doing this interview, what makes me think about that is having good partnerships, having a good, solid a community within your family, even if you don't work with your husband or wife, having them on your team, working together. I mean, you know, right now, because of the pandemic, my wife has slowed down her work in the company and upped her focus on helping us with the family, which has systemically been so important for us to go on during such chaotic times, right, in everybody's businesses. And so, you know, having a great team player, having someone who you can either run a business with or run a life with is, I think, one of the most important things. So there's that old saying that behind every great man, there's an incredible woman. And I think vice versa. I think that, you know, you got to find the team players in your life that are going to really help you thrive, and make sure you surround yourself with them. When I met my wife and I knew that she was an entrepreneur, I knew she was, among many other things, a great partner and a perfect person for me, because the entrepreneurial journey has to be understood by the people around you. It's an up and down. I mean, you know, my wife deals with all of my moods and all of my, you know, my ups and downs and all that. But she understands it. And of course, there's that love, but she understands the entrepreneurial journey. And I think a lot of people are in relationships, partnerships, or in lives where they don't have that support. And I think it's one of the most important things to search out.
Yeah. No, that reminds me of my mum and dad, really. They're a super couple. My mum, she's the brain. She's the one that got all the business running and everything. So I definitely can relate to that. And it's great for your kids to grow up in that environment as well. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's great. You obviously came. I mean, you're a super bright young man, and it obviously came from, you know, two caring parents that did a great job. So kudos to them. And this is a good way to say, everybody call your parents and tell them how much you love them, or if they're not around, send them some love in their wherever they are. And you know, the bottom line is you got to surround yourself with great people and appreciate the ones you're with.
Well, Kane, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You kept to your word after I approached you in Dubai, which took me a lot of chutzpah to do, to be fair. I had to step up to the plate. So again, I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much, and good luck with the webinar later. If you want to let everyone know how they can reach out to you to get to follow you or to ask you some questions or inquire about your services, do you want to let everyone know now, please?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just go find us on social media. You know, we're all over. If you do a little searching on Kane and Alessia, you'll find us. We're pretty active on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then Clubhouse. But Clubhouse is just getting launched, so I don't know if you'll find us there yet. I mean, we're there, but I don't know if everybody else can jump on there. But yeah, just go do a little search. We're all over, as every good brand should be. You know, you can find us online, and just get caught up in something we're doing. Go find some of our free resources. Find us at a free event. We do tons of free webinars and challenges throughout the year to get to know new students and business owners, and that's the best place.
Brilliant. Okay, Kane, again, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
Thanks again. Take care.
Okay.
Cheers. Bye now.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for listening and watching, guys. I hope there were some real gems that you get inspired by and take action with. Within the description, I try to mention everything that's been spoken about, but on a daily basis, I put out content to inspire and help others. To see more, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Search by the name Mark Sclair. Thank you very much again, and I hope you enjoy the journey.